And we are back. Ascension eSports, Elder League, fire-breathing rubber duckies versus Goon Brigade. We're gonna get straight into champ select. What do you expect to be different this time, Doctor?
See, that's the thing. I don't really know. There's a lot of things that can change. Like, we can see, maybe let up the Riven ban. Riven's not even Cowshoe's most played. Take into consideration that you need more CC to win games. The Kled ban is still sticking, which I'm actually really kind of surprised. I mean, you got wrecked by an Alawi. Yes, Kled's, like right up there with the second most played, but Alawi's seemingly a bit more harder for them to deal with than, Kled. But, having played in solo queue, Kled's a monster. I'm not a huge fan of playing against Kled.
Hesitation is death.
Yeah, most definitely, but always banned out, so not gonna
Learn
see
from your
just yet.
mistakes.
They have lost 2 bans, so yeah,
Yes,
they're
sir.
really choked here. There's not too much they can ban out.
Yeah, so I mean, this is where we see
I'm going.
the Duckies, they completely ban out Cowshoe. The Akali Riven are the 2 most played champs there. After that, it really, really falls apart, and not a whole lot left, because the next step down is that Gnar that we already saw, and that's... Frankly, it wasn't good. It didn't play well into the Alawi at all. It didn't, have any opportunity to get going. And when you know that Alawi pick is probably coming in once again, you need something else. And when your 2 most played champions are banned away, there's not a whole lot left to work with.
Yeah, they did take away the Thresh, looking to ban out by taking away rather than actually have real bans, unfortunately for them. But Thresh not played too often for Death Holy. It's going to be interesting to see how he works with that champion, but so far looking like the same draft coming out from the fire-breathing rubber duckies.
And I don't expect too much to change for the Goon Brigade either. I mean, obviously the support change comes in. Nuggler, I think they're fine putting him back on the Caitlyn. I think the changes need to come in top and jungle. Just simply don't pick the Lee Sin. It didn't work. Get it out of here. You need something that's a bit more substantial. But outside of that, I think the draft was fine. But the Aurelia, it's probably going to get bopped by the Alawi again. However, the Aurelia does bring a lot more late game opportunity.
And once again, the Anivia picked up something that Brungles is comfortable with. Didn't really have the best display in the first game, and that is just because of the proactive play coming from both Killer Z and Baba Ganoush. And now we're seeing an Azir hover, Zyra locked in for I Need a Leash. Very potent support champion. Has fallen off quite a bit since the changes, making the way her plants interact with enemy champions a little bit different, but this is the big one right here. Killer Z and Ahri. It's one of his favorite champions. It's once again more comfort, and this leaves the top lane pick to be the counter pick. Do you think he's just gonna go straight for the Alawi again? Do you think if it's not broke, don't fix it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you can keep that same draft that you just dominated with and just swap out the support for an even higher damage support, why not, right? I mean, you still have, enough hard CC that you're comfortable. You have the Enchanted Crystal Arrow and the Gragas, both of which guarantee you're engaged once comboed with the Grasping Roots and Stranglethorn. Big bang boom, and then if you can get a Stranglethorn into an Alawi ultimate, holy moly are you done for. And there's no reason not to. Yes, you can get caught out a little bit by this possible Sejuani pick, but... And that last second swap, I simply do not agree with in any form.
Yeah, that's a little bit interesting. I don't really agree with that one. It's not really something we've really seen out of Zumaloss. I feel like he would have been better off if he like tries to go towards the comfort area and stick with champions he's regularly played, which would be like the Lee Sin, which didn't work out that well, so scratch that. The Graves, maybe a Vi, Hal, maybe even Elise. Elise is great at early game pressure with less risk and a better late game, so I don't know how I feel about that one.
When you look at it from a stats perspective, from, you know, a power pick perspective, from a composition perspective, everything says this is the, like, objectively wrong choice. However, if Zamulis feels more comfortable on the Rek'Sai and feels that he can do more for the team, you kind of have to make that concession. If your jungler simply cannot play that pick, then you could do more harm than good by forcing the pick there, but it's just, by pretty much all accounts, you call it a wrong choice.
At this point, I just kind of call it, I don't know, the JLC method at this point. It's just fall back on something that is tanky and has simple CC and pretty much just serves the purpose just like that. And we should see how that works out. It is nice that they have a beefy frontliner now, but the comp coming out from the fire-breathing rubber duckies, a lot of the same stuff, and it's because it was just so successful last game. It was a dominant game, and I'm actually curious to see how Mokujin is going to look to pull off these arrows once again, if he's really just that skilled, or if that was some of the luckiest shots he's had in a game ever.
Yeah, and, you know, the change from Alawi to Shen, it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. Old Shen used to lose pretty hard to Aurelia. Now, played correctly, Shen can do okay, but played even more correctly from the Aurelia should be an unfun matchup for the Shen. It does put a bit more pressure on Killer Z and Mokujin, though, because they don't have such a dominant top laner. Shen's not going to be the champion that just runs it down top, solo kills the enemy over and over again, and takes towers. Shen is going to be more farm up, wait till late game, get, you know, Sunfire Cape, Titanic Hydra, push the wave in, maybe get some tower pressure, and then TP down to a team fight. So it's a different style of play than what we saw last time, and, you know, in a best of 5, this is, you have time to play around. You know the enemy team only has 2 bans, or 1 ban. You know that you're probably going to get the Alawi every single game, and so, you know, you're already up 1-0, you have some room to play with. This is when you can go for those different kind of compositions, even though it's the exact same comp, barring top and support, but you don't have to stomp them every game. You can experiment with some things, see what works, see what doesn't work, because now that you already know the Alawi works, you can try and play around some other things.
Yeah, but it is an uphill battle at this point. Like, you focus on different things and try and work with the draft you have, but when you're limited to so little bans, and when I say bans, I'm going to remove the S and just say ban, it's not gonna be easy. It's an uphill battle, and the Goon Brigade really have to just think about how they play this early game to not cause a snowball to happen once again. But on that note, even though I think we pretty much know the answer right now, who do you see winning based on team composition and why?
I'm gonna have to give it to the Rubber Duckies once again. They actually doubled down on the game-winning factor that I said last time, the CC. Now you have even more hard CC. You have Shen Taunt, Stranglethorns, Grasping Roots. All of these are hard CCs that can combo into more hard CC, but there's also damage backing them. The Zyra damage is not to be laughed at, and even if we don't see an AP build from Anita Leash, there's still a lot of base damage there. The Shen does a surprising amount of damage with the Titanic Hydra build, and so not only do you have more hard CC, you're a lot safer. You can have the Shen shield come in at any time. You can try and, dodge out a bit more of what you've already dodged. So it's going to be a different style game because the Blue Girl has more free reign to help the team. But I think overall it's going to end up being a very similar game to what we saw last time.
Yeah, most definitely does look to be that way, but for now we are going to get it's a game 2 of the fire-breathing Rubber Duckies versus Goon Brigade.
Yeah, and I always want to see some level 1 action. This would be the perfect time for the Goon Brigade to try and start something. They have Rek'Sai, they have Thresh, they have Anivia. They can pull off a cheeky level 1 if they want and not lose out on too much.
Yeah, so they choose not to go for it, unfortunately. We don't get any fiestas early on.
Yeah, and
play a proper game.
It's a little interesting because, it's so successful in solo queue getting those, level 1 invades. And when you have champs like this, I mean, you already know how these teams are going to plan out because, you've seen them all season, you've played against them all season. You know that they're more of a fan out style. So if you can actually, like, say they just walked, yes, that ward would see them, but if they'd gotten there before the ward came in, if you take Death Sentence, Zyra's completely alone for a good 5 to 10 seconds. There's no way for anybody else to respond.
This is cheeky. I was kind of expecting more, but it was still a pretty cheeky play.
Yeah, they do get the Frost Fang gold, so they are ahead 8 gold. 8 gold advantage for the Rubber Duckies.
Yeah, that 8 gold advantage. Snowball already starting. Now we go off, and there's a Raptor start coming out of Baba Ganoush. Doing that
it's
start you were talking about earlier last game, actually.
Yeah, so it gives you a pretty quick level 2 because you can get level 2 off of the 1 Raptor camp, get level 3 off of the red buff. It does open you up for some early ganking pressure because, you kind of get levels a lot quicker than you do with the buff start. So you also don't inconvenience your bot lane. So had, the bot lane left a bit earlier, we might have seen a quick level 2 come in.
And we see a nasty chunk coming out of a great death sentence from Death Holy. It appears he can play this champion.
We see La Blue Girl flashing that Master 7, and it, like I said, this used to be an auto-lose lane for the Shen at a certain point. Shen right now, though, is in such a good spot, and, with the Spirit's Refuge, he can block a lot of Aurelia's damage.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we're seeing the exact same matchup we saw last time. Prungles on the Anivia, Killer Z on the Arya. Both of them on their most comfortable champions, but last time we saw Killer Z win that out. And as mentioned before, it was largely due to the pressure Baba Ganoush applied. And he's about to apply that pressure in the bot lane.
So this is a problem we've seen a lot. They saw him on a ward and they didn't respond whatsoever.
And no response coming out. Exhaust being burnt both ways. Death Holy trying to get out of the grasp of the jungler from fire-breathing Rubber Duckies. They flash forward. They're trying to lock down that kill. Trying to get something. Surprisingly, it does look like miscommunication may have plagued them.
So that was actually a huge misplay. Baba Ganoush simply walked up and got the flash out of Nugler, but his bottom lane was too focused on the Thresh. He could have very easily body slammed Nugler and secured the kill there, but instead he walked down and body slammed Death Holy, who is tankier, who does have more to work with, and just complete falling apart there.
Yeah. Overall, it does look better for Goon Brigade, though. It did survive. what looked like certain disaster and what should have been certain disaster, but looks like he wants to repeat this. There are no summoner spells on the bot side, but a ward does spot him out.
Yeah, this time they do respond to the ward. This should be.
Yeah, that was an easy first blood.
That was a little scary for Kaoshu. That could have gone very poorly.
Here again, Baba Ganoush doesn't want to give up on this summoner spell-less bot lane. And can you blame him? It's such a high priority target.
Yeah, and they're not really respecting it either. Like, look how far ahead in this lane they are with 0 abilities. They have no idea where he is. They have no idea where he can come from. And he can just simply walk up and body slam him.
Looks like he might do that. Baba Ganoush getting ready for this gank. Fugnugler getting punished out, and that's going to be a kill picked up by Mokujin. And they didn't even need Baba Ganoush.
Yeah, and Baba Ganoush, you know, obviously you want to give your kills over to the AD carry, but he wasted so much time bottom. He took the Krugs, but then doesn't get a part of the kill. That's the type of situation where if he pops his barrel, I don't think he takes the kill, but he at least gets the assist gold. So, and you know, everybody talks about how, you know, you want to give it to the carry, you don't want to steal it. But the thought process you need to have in games like this is gold is gold. It doesn't matter who the kill goes over to, your team gets the gold, your team gets the advantage.
I mean, bare minimum, he still does get the EXP from that kill, so it's not like he walked out completely void of any game. But yeah, I do see your point. It would have been nice to share the gold with everyone on the team at that point.
Yeah, things are pretty good. And we see this top lane not going well for Kaoshu once again. In less of a favorable matchup, Shen does have some pretty high base damages, so he's going to be putting down damage pretty quickly. I mean, that was like 2 autos. Yeah, that was like 2 autos on his Zumulus there, and basically forced to half health. So things are looking good for the Duckies once again. I don't think the Aurelia is gonna get out of control quick enough that he's gonna run away with the game.
A little bit caught out. And there is a flash. Well timed too, waited for the charm to come out. But now a fight in the bot lane. Fugnugler is being attacked on by Mokujin. Mokujin doing a lot of damage to both support and ADC of Goon Brigade.
Mokujin, no fear, saw his opportunity for Fugnugler walking up trying to get damage onto I Need a Leash, and just says, nah, I'm just going to go right in on you. I have the Vamp Scepter, I have the sustain advantage, and not only the Vamp Scepter, has the Doran Shield, which is a start I saw a lot of a while back, but haven't really been seeing much of lately. Now this is interesting because they know that Zumulus is there, and they're just wasting his time.
And what a use of the plants to come out of I Need a Leash, denying the death sentence completely.
Yeah, Death Holy is very worse for wear. That actually would have been... I think that the Duckies would have actually preferred that landed, because they could have then just bursted Death Holy under the tower.
Yeah, and this is looking worse and worse for Goon Brigade, but the gold is still even, so it's anyone's game at the moment. And in this bot lane, actually, Fugnugler's starting to come back a bit. He does have a CS lead.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plans out. I mean, Nugler, we saw him do very well last game. You know, got caught out once or twice here or there due to death sentences and, you know, hooks. But they took away the hooks. Yes, there's grasping roots now, but it's an opportunity for... Sorry, I just got super confused by Nugler's build. What did he pick up first item? Because he doesn't have it anymore. Huh. So it looks like if he I'm gonna have to go back and see that, because that is interesting. So he actually started started Doran's Blade and sold it for a BF sword. That is questionable. Yeah, that's extremely questionable. Because what he could have done is pick up a pickaxe and, you know, some daggers and not really hurt himself too bad. By selling the Dorms, it actually hurts him quite a bit because it completely removes his lane sustain.
Yeah, and especially in a lane where you don't have someone sustain you like Thresh. It's not going to be the funnest lane if Mokujin gets much more opportunities like he was earlier, where he could just hammer away at the health bar of Fugnuggler and Death only.
And we saw Zamula's trying to start up this dragon, trying to get it, you know, out from under the Ducky's nose. Does get caught a little bit forced, taking it back away from it a little bit. And it really looks like the Duckies want to start it up, but they're a little afraid.
Yeah, and they don't have the same type of lead they were able to develop in the first game, so they have every right to be afraid, especially considering how good Fugnuggler can be at positioning in these fights and getting off a lot of damage, just like he did right there. Mokujin chunked out, but Baba Ganoush is here, and the chain CC once again is so gorgeous. Now the Blue Girl looks to go after Death Holy. Death Holy puts up the wall, should stop any more advancements. But now so much pressure on this bot tower. Reinforcements are coming from Wolf. He's denied his ultimate. Dead Sentence whiffs. Baba Ganoush running critically low, uses the explosive cast, but falls to Prungles. The Blue Girl having used taunt to get out of the danger. Now Kaoshu's there. Kaoshu alone. Death Holy around the corner. Uses the lantern to white. Well, Killer Z goes in, almost takes out Kaoshu. Ignites ticking. Shouldn't be enough. Barely survives. And, oh, Killer Z almost getting caught out.
So to start that whole fight, I don't actually know what happened to Baba Ganoush. He walked through Tribush, got the Shen ulti, and then just kind of stared at the fight, and then flashed on top of Nug instead of body slamming him. So I don't really know what happened there, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him do some kind of shaky Gragas moves. Doesn't look like it's the best champion for him, but it is a good champion overall, and he's making it work, but not without some errors.
Yeah, you do get a pretty fair amount of leeway on Gragas, just due to how much you can tank with relatively low gold numbers. And we saw Zamula's do some stuff that last team fight, only making his way out with an assist, but it's hard for Rek'Sai to really do much anymore. You know, isn't crazy tanky, doesn't have crazy amounts of damage, is no longer the, you know, tier 0 jungler we're used to seeing for so long, but it is enough to clean up an Ocean Drake.
Yeah, Ocean Drake picked up the first objective of the game, mind you. And no first tower blood yet. Overall, Goon Brigade playing much better than they did last time. Blue Girl looking to get onto Kaoshu. Looking out Kaoshu for a lot of damage. Kaoshu starting to return it through. Though, the Blue Girl having to back off that one, but look at the roam coming up.
Yeah, Kaoshu is in for a birthday party. Does catch them on a ward, but I'm not sure it matters.
Oh! He failed his flash, and for that you go to the grave. Killer Z picks up that one.
Yeah, trying to do a sneaky play, getting that dash in, flash over the wall. Unfortunately, messing up the flash hurts you quite a bit.
I mean, in theory, it would have looked really nice, you know. Here I am, there I go. Loss trying to gank Killer Z. Prungles. Actually, saving Prungles would be the better way to say it.
So things are a lot more even than we're used to seeing in this series so far, and it does benefit the Goon Brigade to draw this out. If they can avoid getting caught out in the situations like last game.
But that might be the end for Death Holy, because Stand United gets Mokujin to safety as well as a kill.
So they're really trying on these plays. You know, we see the death sentence trying to get them on the trap. A bit of a disconnect there because the flay pulls Mokujin away from the trap there. But this is what the addition of the Shen brings. You know, we talked about how the Aurelia just stomped the lane, just completely dominated it. And Kaoshu with no flash shouldn't be able to get away here. Zamula says hello.
Kaoshu's running critically low. As he said, no
That's
flash might be the end, but a great knockup on Burrow coming from Zumalas. Denies what could have been Kaoshu's death. And Baba Ganoush sending Zumalas to safety. And what's going on with the fire-breathing rubber duckies? They're having some very bad miscommunications.
So, La Blue Girl had flash. He could have flash taunted Kaoshu, and that would have gotten the kill there. Instead, just goes for the solo taunt onto Zamulis, which should have gotten a kill. Except Baba Ganoush was feeling generous today. Gave him a save. But I think that is going to be tower gold going over to Duckies, and it is.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't get the kills out of that, at least they got the first tower. So they managed to get something going. And oh, what a nice stun to come out of Prungle's. Charm misses. One thing to note, we haven't seen the Rift Herald picked up the series yet. Fight bringing out bot lane. Fugnugler getting punished very heavily. Mokujin chasing after that. Gets a kill on the Fugnugler. Now Death Holy critically low, having to flash away to survive.
Yeah, and that was a great decision there. I Need a Leash gets hit by the death sentence. Instant Enchanted Crystal Arrow onto Fugnugler. Completely removes any return damage opportunity. And then having already completed that Blade of the Ruined King, you spike so hard as the Ashe, and you're just able to put out so much damage there.
You see a fight in the mid lane. He's going after Prungles. Nothing comes of it yet. And once again, La Blue Girl and Kaoshu decking it out. Oh, Season 7 seeing Shen do this much damage. Goodness gracious.
And I actually remember when people didn't believe me that Tiamat Shen was going to be the go-to. And I was like, trust me guys, if you're not building Tiamat on Shen, you're doing it wrong. And they're like, no. He needs Sunfire Cape, Spirit Visage, tank. And now, here we are, seeing a Shen put the hands on an Aurelia.
Welcome to Season 7. And speaking of Season 7, here is the Rift Herald being started up by the Firebreathing Robots.
Which, this is just a joke. Like, Rift Herald in 2017? Please.
The La Blue Girl taking a lot of damage. We'll have to abandon that Rift Herald, and this gives it over possibly to Goon Brigade. Goon Brigade needs to abandon it, as well as abandoning Kaoshu. And down he goes to Baba Ganoush's explosive cast. Now Mokujin caught out inside of Prungle's ultimate, but Mokujin turns it around. He's gonna take one. Does he see two? No, he drops the Prungles, but Prungles is an egg, and once again, gonna be scrambled. And that is 4 for 1 in favor, 4 for 2 in favor of the fire-breathing rubber duckies.
And that fight looks okay for Goon Brigade. They managed to trap Mokujin between two walls in the Glacial Storm there. But, you know, the sustain from the Blade of the Ruined King just gave it enough, along with the Stand United, you know, to sit there and just pump out auto attack after auto attack after auto attack. And she does damage. It's such a good pick for so many number of reasons. Having your top laner just in the middle of the fight get caught out there, not able to do any work, it's rough. Plus you didn't have your own Edie carry there to, you know, try and do something.
Yeah, if Fugnugler was there, that could have been a completely different game. But Fugnugler Not being there, he does get the tower, so there is objective gold picked up on the side of Goon Brigade, so it wasn't the worst thing that could happen, but it does hurt, and it does start to get Mokujin even further ahead.
It hurts your mentality, because you lose fights. Big flash there.
Now Lumubro getting caught up and chopped up, going down to death only. Scumbag support taking the kill.
Now, Dragon's available. Teams are fighting over this. The Inferno Drake, this is worth fighting for, but you don't have a top laner. You don't have a Stand United. You have to go for the 50-50 smite, but it looks like the Goon Brigade are afraid. Their jungler's nowhere near the dragon right now.
Oh, yeah, he is. He goes over, but it's Bugnugler who actually takes him. Chanceless arrow goes out, going after Kaoshu. Kaoshu falling critically low and drops the Mokujin. Now Bugnugler's trying to run away. Killer Z is around the corner, but Brunkles is able to stop him temporarily and once again bind it, but down goes Bugnugler. Now Zumalos is trying to run away. He goes straight into defeat, and that is 4 down for the Goon Brigade.
How does Killer Z get that kill? How does Killer Z come into a fight at half HP and solo out the enemy mid laner? What is this man and what is this champion?
Oh.
And now they have some kind of fascination with the purple pit because they went for the Rift Herald, it failed. They're going for a 21-minute Baron. This is not what should happen. Rek'Sai is way too late, and now might die for his crimes. Yeah, with no blast cone, that is a dead Zamolis.
And once again, the fire-breathing rubber duckies take a massive lead. 8K, this game just imploded after that Rift Herald fight.
And not for the Goon Brigade. You know, they stopped an objective take. They got a tower. Yeah, they lost members, but like I said, it's a mentality thing. And you know that dragon fight kind of speaks for it. You know, instead of just focusing on the dragon, we saw Zamolis run away from the dragon, back up into his own jungle to the red buff bush. Does pump back over, and they end up getting the dragon anyway. But at that point, you know, your jungler's in the pit. Your AD carrier's frontlining the dragon. Your mid laner's back in mid lane. It's just they're so disconnected. They're so far away from each other that they get blown out. They lose 4 members, and then they lose a Baron. And now these waves are very much in favor of the Duckies right now.
Yeah, very in favor, and we do see... Is it off cooldown? I can't tell by the way the animation, the artwork looks on Stand United. It's off cooldown, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, now this split push is going to put a lot of pressure, especially a Baron empowered split push. There's only so many places Brungles can be.
Yeah, and you know, part of the new Baron buff makes it so that you really can't have a magic damager, you know, stall the game as hard as we once used to. So getting such an early Baron is so useful because Anivia is not at a point where she can consistent, like, super heavy wave clearance. So it's a struggle that you basically need Prungles and Nuggler in the same lane to wave clear these Baron buffed minions, and that opens up the opportunity for the Shen to put in work against the Aurelia.
Ooh, a lot of pressure there on him. Goes in, looking at the explosive cast, and the arrow whiffs, but it does land on the Bugnugler. They don't get as much as they wanted, so it's death sentence on the Killer Z, but no one to follow it up.
Yeah, and these Baba Ganoush barrels are... They're like Teemo's off. Like, if that lands, boom, perfect play. They break the base open. They basically win from there. But having it go over just a bit to the side means that you have to fall back. You can't pressure this tower anymore, and you know they need more. They need something to happen with this Baron buff because they haven't gotten anything yet.
They haven't gotten much. And they do get a snare on the Bugnugler. Bugnugler able to take the lamp to survive, but look at the pressure Brungles puts out by just zoning the members of Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies away from that tower.
Yeah, now 5 members strong. Charm Lance. That is a dead Brungles. And that's the tower. No wave clear, get the tower. And even though the teams are responding appropriately, they should now transition bottom lane, finish off that last outer tower. That leaves only the base left to crack, and they can always get the next Baron and come back to it.
Yeah, this is disastrous so far for Goon Brigade. The other tower goes down.
No longer any more outer towers. Dragon is in a minute, and this is going to be a second Infernal Drake. If the Goon Brigade can pick this up, it's a very big pickup for them. That'll give them double Infernals. They can, you know, put out a lot of damage without quite having the gold, because they are down 10k gold once again, but they'll be able to kind of put up a fight. They're not going to have, you know, the utility items on their side, but damage-wise, they should be able to compete for at least a little while. Now, if they end up losing this Infernal Dragon to the Duckies, the fire breathing kind of comes from the name. So they're just going to be able to hammer it down, double down on these engagements, and it's going to make the next Baron fight very difficult for the Goon Brigade.
Yeah, at this point, stalling out is the best thing they can do. They need to hit the point where this gold lead doesn't mean anything, because you already have everyone at 5 or 6 items. So it's gonna take a stall for Goon Brigade to get back in this, but it's going to be a very difficult one. That being said, they do have the champions to cause a stall.
Yeah, and Mugler is not having the same impacts that we even saw him have last game. 0-4-0. Yes, he has the highest CS in the game. Yes, he has 50 CS on his lane opponent, but his lane opponent has been involved in 13 kills. And it's looking like they're just going to give up that dragon. They don't have anybody even close to it. And it's looking hard to see how Goon Brigade get back in this game in particular. They're down, you know, 11k gold again. A lot of the gold is on the carries for the Duckies. 4-0-3 in the mid lane, 6-1-7 in the bottom lane. And Death Holy's trying to make something work, but his team is nowhere near him.
And strangely enough, they are sending Dumalos. Oh, arrow goes pretty close to Fugnuggler. Doesn't quite land and hit the mark, but that would have been devastation.
And it's already looking like devastation. Nuggler's doing his best to wave clear. He has to play so far forward because his team just won't be there for him.
Oh, right onto the trap, but it doesn't result in anything. Killer C is able to get out alive. Dumalos is next. Next is gonna be Brungles. Drops, that's 3 dead. Do they see 4? Mokujin able to slow up the kill for Blue Girl to pick up, and that is 4 dead, and that should be the game.
Yeah, and once again, the top lane fights just put in so much work. I mean, Blue Girl being able to just save his team time and time again. Killer C doesn't even end up going down in that fight, even though he was picked up under tower on a trap. Trapped under tower for like 6 tower shots. It doesn't matter in the end because you get the Stand United shield and you just tank through it all. I don't think this is a game just yet. The respawn timers are not that long. Not that long, but it's getting there. This next Baron is up now. Both inhibitors down, and those are the 2 inhibitors you want for a Baron play, bottom and mid. Just gonna put on so much pressure to the Goon Brigade that it should be a free Baron.
This is not looking good at all for Goon Brigade. They needed to stall out. Death Holy got a pretty good play, but the response that came out of Fire Breathing River Duckies, they're ready to fight. They're ready to just instantly act as a cohesive unit on an instant. And overall, they just look great in this series.
I mean, that fight, you know, everything looked good. You know, you got the arm, caught, damaged, whatever. But then Prungles and Fugnuggler, the 2 damage dealers for the Goon Brigade, get caught by a body slam. And that just removes them from the fight entirely. It gives enough time for the Blue Girl to come in. Ari is able to just run it down, and so now they didn't fight for the Infernal Drake. They have to fight for this Baron. And win or lose is really how the game goes. If they give it up, they lose. If they die and give it up, they lose. If they win it, they stay alive for a couple more minutes, but it's something that they can build off of. Right now, the vision game is so not on their side, and
not at all.
This is what happens.
Flash instantly. And yeah, they don't even really need to take Baron, but they will. All they need is to Baron dance, and the base will pretty much kill itself at that point.
I mean, there's already super minions in that bottom lane, crashing onto the towers now. Completely uncontested Baron. The best they could have hoped for at that point was a Zamola's steal, but he's just not anywhere near the objectives, and now Kaoshu caught out completely forward. They knew the Baron was going down, they heard it go down, and completely caught.
100%. Baba Ganoush happily just walk around in the base of the game, because that's how ahead they are.
And now it's fight or die. This tower is going to go down, the inhibitor soon to follow, and there's two waves of super minions crashing into the Nexus towers, being guided along by the Blue Girl, and this first Nexus tower going down as we speak.
Yeah, and Baron empowered minions, nothing defending the Nexus. Zumalas looking to do a last stand, results in his last breath instead. Bugnuggler critically low, will drop to Killer C. That is 3 down, as well as a Nexus. And that's going to be the end of game 2.
So I know they only have one ban, and the Kled is so fearsome. I understand why they're banning that one champion, but it doesn't stop there. You need to change your pick phase. You need a meta top laner, to say the least. I mean, Gnar got smashed by the Alawi. The Aurelia, not quite smashed, but it was against the Shen. I mean, just the way the two champions interact with each other, Shen's going to win the team fight 100% of the time because of the Stand United. The junglers, we had a Lee Sin first game, failed an invade, and didn't do anything after that. We see the Sejuani hover, which would have been perfect. Sejuani does so much for your team, with the last minute swap to Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai doesn't do anything. Outside of that, you have Prungles on 100% comfort champ. It's doing okay, but it's so slow, and when you know that 100% of the time Achilles is going to take that Ahri, you kind of need something a bit quicker. You need something like a Syndra, you need a LeBlanc, something that just spikes a bit quicker. Caitlyn is okay, but it's... I think that the Goon Brigade needs to take a step back and reevaluate their whole pick fan base.
Yeah, I mean, the Caitlyn worked pretty well, and as we get into the damage charts right here, we see that Mokujin seems to have wised up to it. He's out-damaged Bugnuggler by a lot. He looked great in that game, especially with his duo partner picking the Zyra. I need a leash, that is. And once again, Killer Z, top of the damage charts, his most comfortable champion to play. It's the one he's played the most this season, and he's just freely allowed to pick it and have the game of his life every single match of the series so far.
And it's starting to look dangerous. It is match point, and so now it's up to the Goon Brigades to adapt or die, and I want to see him adapt. I want more games tonight. I want Silver Scrapes in my life tonight.
We're gonna see if we will get Silver Scrapes eventually as we hit match point. 2 up are the fire-breathing rubber Duckies to the 0 wins coming out of Goon Brigade. Will they be able to bring it back, or will this be a clean sweep? We'll find out when we return